program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's another hot day in the afternoon as that hornbill flies away. This is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this Saturday's Sunset Safari. Welcome to all of you. In case you've just stumbled across us and not sure what you are watching, you're watching Safari Live. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Sebastian, and we are hoping to find all sorts of things. Sebastian says I'm not allowed to stop at anything other than cats today, so I apologize if we just drive around aimlessly. No, I'm just teasing. We won't be doing that. We will be hopefully looking for all sorts of wonderful animals, but it's good to be back in the Sabi sand. Everything is looking very dry. Now, if you would like to ask us any questions, you're more than welcome to, of course, and you can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter with any of your comments or questions or pictures that you'd like to share with us. And I've just realized that there's a new road. That's cool. That's nice.
We know the road. We had lots of awesome sightings.
A winner of the road, you say?
Yeah.
Well, the winner of the road is the one we're going to go and drive first. I think let's go and investigate around here. I think Tristan and Addie said that Shadow has been enjoying this road quite a bit.
Yes.
So that's quite nice, I think. So I think we'll take a little bumble and see where we end up. However, because it is about 77°F today, it's nice and warm. I think first things first is we're going to be checking all of the dams to see if any elephants, perhaps a buffalo or two, or zebra, maybe a leopard, are coming down for a drink a little bit later. And that is going to be our goal. The wind has actually picked up quite a large amount just in this afternoon, which is not too good. We obviously don't like the wind, neither do the animals. So we'll see how today goes. But we're going to keep bumbling about on this new road that I've just realized has been created and see where we end up. I'm going to send you across now to Ali to say good afternoon.
Hello everyone, and good afternoon indeed it is. My name is Ali, and on camera with me today I've got Gert. I'm getting there with the pronunciation of his name. And I hope everybody's just as excited as we are to be out here. Sorry, like you know, this is a live and interactive show, so if you've got any questions or any comments, please feel free to send them through using the hashtag Safari Live. Now, let me turn good old Wendy on. We are on our way to the last location where Thamba was seen this morning with Tristan. Now, I'm a bit wary because Thamba has proven to be slightly elusive to me, and I'm hoping he will be there. Taylor was also laughing because Tandy and Thamba seem to be our nemesis when it comes to leopards. But finger crossed we'll be able to swap all of our luck around and he will be here. And if not, I would very much like to see all of those big giants that haven't been around for too long. So here's to the spots and the big grey dark masses that move around the bush for this afternoon. And I hope everybody's going to enjoy being out here with us as much as we are. I was saying earlier on in the pre-show, in case you weren't watching, that I am loving even more the scenery at this time of the year. Like, I know that we've gone past the midwinter with the winter solstice and everything, but it only now feels, or it starts feeling like real winter to me, with this beautiful blue sky that we've got ahead of us, and everything's gotten that beautiful golden color. So all we need now is the big herds of elephants to start coming through and squashing all the grass, and then that's going to make me very happy, just because everything takes on such a different look from summer, and I think that's probably why I like it so much. Funny enough, Gert was saying just now that he was last here in January, so I'm sure everything has changed quite a bit, from very beautiful and green to very dead and yellow almost. Now, this is a bit of a bumpy road and we had to take quite a long loop around to get to where Thamba was seen this morning, but I'm hoping everything will be worth it and then he'll be around there. In the meantime though, not too many signs of ellies around this area, but it was good to come and check. But we have got a very nice mix of nyalas and impala up ahead. Seems like they're pretending that they were not mixing together, but we do know that you were. We saw you guys, all of you together. Now we've got the impala, which are the ones that are closer to us on the left hand side, and the nyalas are being slightly shy and they've gone all the way to the back of the bushes. Now I'm going to try and go around, see if perhaps we can see them and have a bit of a better look, because they are such beautiful antelope. All of them, impalas as well. Where are you hiding, little nyala? All the way here, just behind the bushes. Well, we've got sorry, there were some more on the other side. So we've got also what seems to be the nyala Great Migration, or well, I don't think 3 of them could be a great migration, but just a few of them. So this is a young boy. You can see that his little horns are just starting to come out, so I would reckon he's probably about a year old or so. And maybe he wants to be friends. Oh no, there's another female behind all of those bushes around there, so likely that's its mother, and that's why he's decided to be here. And we've got a youngster one, probably the younger sibling of that beautiful bull we saw, or young bull rather. Now it is funny, because if you were to see them from a distance all together, it's very easy to confuse them. They all got pretty much the same colors or the same coloration, and if it weren't for those beautiful white stripes, I don't. Beautiful. Linda, you're commenting on how big the ears are. Yes, well, you see, the impala not so much. As you can tell, their ears are not so big, but the ones for the nyala, so you see the impala ones are not as big. The nyala normally tend to live in very thick vegetation, and therefore they need bigger satellite dishes to be able to pick up all the little noises that are around them, whereas impala, they live mostly on the fringes of the woodland and on the fringes of the very thick vegetation in the open areas. So they will rely also more on their sense of, or on their eyesight and on their sense of smell, just to be able to see and know what's coming around them. Whereas sometimes the nyala, who are very closely related to the kudu, need to rely more on their eyesight than anything, and their hearing more than anything else, because they live in very thick areas. So sometimes being able to see what's out there is not really an option. Alright, but let's leave these beautiful guys over here and we'll carry on our way to Thamba's last position. I think today is going to be a day of me mixing up words and coming up with new ones. Bye Impala! Bye Nyala! Very pretty. You guys are blending in very well at this time of the year. We're going to carry on driving, but in the meantime, let's go over to Taylor and see how she's been enjoying that wonderful new road.
It's quite wonderful, thank you, Ali. It's very pretty. There's nice big termite mounds, but one thing that I've definitely noticed that has changed in 2 weeks is how much further you can actually see into the bushes, because I was complaining a lot over the last few months and couldn't wait until winter had arrived, and it's definitely here now, and not necessarily because of the temperature, but just because of the height of the grass. Whether it's been grazed down, I'm sure that's probably the case with most of the animals, trying to feed on the last little bits before it completely disappears, but it's looking really, really good. I actually feel like I can see things now, whereas before I was struggling, and you could only see 20 meters into the bush, and that was it. So it's quite refreshing that I can scan far into the distance and spot the elephants from far away, and that's one thing I'm hoping to do this afternoon, is find leopard tracks. Here, are you leopard tracks? Or have I just made that? No, it's hyena. Ah, that was so disappointing, but little hyenas too. Let me show you very quickly. Let me see. No, they are. What are the tracks? Oh, in civet tracks. That's what I was looking at. I got excited. I thought little baby leopard tracks. It's not. There's a combination of tracks. There are leopard tracks. This is exactly what Ali was trying to tell me basically the entire day, how everywhere you go, she doesn't just see one set of leopard tracks, she sees a whole lot. So I can't show you, but the leopard tracks that I'm looking at are just here. It's a bit too close to the car. And they're going back that way. They look like young male's tracks. But what I did want to show you is the little hyena footprint. Where is it gone now? Now I must find it. Let me go back to my original spot. And I can see where I saw it from over here. This one. This doesn't look like a particularly big hyena. Maybe it's a juvenile, maybe even the back paw of a hyena's foot too, but it's relatively small. Hyena tracks are quite big. There's quite a few of them scattered around here as well. So this is probably from early this morning. But I can't believe how much sand is actually covering a lot of these tracks, but it also could be from the cars passing by. It kicks up quite a bit of dust. But now let me see if I can find some more of these leopard tracks. It's just hyena going up and down here, quite a few of them too. And then we've got some civet tracks. If you look over here, some beautiful little round paw prints. They're very round tracks, but only 2 lobes at the back, and very small. You can see they're tiny. But also Shadow's cubs tracks will be just a little bit bigger than that. Now where do these leopard tracks come from? Maybe they come from... There's a spider hunting wasp here. Can you hear it? There it goes. Bye, spider hunting wasp. Where are these tracks coming out of now? So this is quite interesting. I think it's going to be almost impossible to try and guess as to whose tracks these are, but they are walking back that way, so I think we must turn around and maybe go back that side. Let's do that. Lots of footprints down on the ground. Maybe if we go on this other road we'll see them. They definitely didn't go down the way which we've just come and reverse. There we go. There we go. I believe there's a trick with Rusty and the reverse now. Okay, let's see if we can follow them. We'll go back this way and just have a look here. I can see why this area is very popular for the leopards though, because as we've been driving through it, the amount of little steenbok and duiker that have bobbed through the grass is outstanding. And we haven't really been seeing too many of them just because of the height of the grass, and all the shrubs have been quite dense. So they hide away, almost becoming completely invisible. But now that it's shortened quite a bit, all the trees are losing their leaves, not all of them, but most of them. I think this will be good for a young leopard. Now, Ubawala, you've said that maybe Djuma needs a migration to help mow down the grass. I definitely think so, and that will happen. We've just got to be a little bit patient. And I must say I actually was incorrect. Remember, just before I went on holiday I said that I reckon that the buffalo will be back by the end of June. Well, it's now the 1st of July and they're still not back here, which is quite upsetting. So I think as soon as the buffalo come back here, and when they do come back, they come back in massive herds too, they will completely flatten all of this area, which will be good, and then of course the game viewing will become a lot better. I'm surprised the elephants haven't actually done too much more damage to the grass, because they typically feed on a lot of grass during the summer months when it's nice and juicy, before they have to start eating the bark off of terrible trees. Now I'm going to just jump out the car, have a little scan around here. We're at the Balanites Junction, which is also very, very popular for leopard tracks, and see which way those young male leopard tracks went to. In the meantime, it seems as though Ali's ahead of me and she's already found her first spotted cat.
Very, very excited that he decided to spend the day where he was left, or I think this is where they saw him, and if not, if he's moved, then we are very happy to see this beautiful spot amongst the yellow grass. Hello, boy. I'm so excited to see Thamba. I think I nearly started crying out of excitement. Oh, yes. Is there something there that's bothering you? Now, you see it's out in the open and out in the sun. I think the temperature today is 24 and 74. I think that's what it was. Oh, sorry, 77 and 25. Well, I was very close. You guys get the idea. Now, where he is sitting, there's a bit of a breeze, and if you pay attention to the grass blades, you can see that they're all moving around. So he's actually choosing a very nice spot because, yes, the sun will warm him up, but the very nice cold breeze that's coming along, it's not going to make him feel that he's too hot. And it seems like maybe he's up to a lot this afternoon because he is out, completely out. Look at that. Almost like a little angel. Until the flies come around and then the real Thamba comes out. The fly slayer. He is very funny looking like that. And I wonder if it's not even the grass that's bothering him. Justin, you're saying hello, handsome Thamba. Yes, I think that is a good adjective for him, handsome Thamba. And well, this is only the second time that I've seen it, but every time that I've seen his photographs, or now that we're seeing him live, it's just so funny how spotty he is compared to some of the other cats around. I don't know, for some reason it almost feels like he's got more spots than some of the other leopards. I don't know why this is. Maybe he still has got a lot to grow. I mean, we keep seeing and commenting about his prints on the sand and how big his feet are. So maybe he's just going to stretch them all out as he carries on growing, and he'll grow into becoming a much, much bigger male. He is just about a year old, so he's still got a lot to grow. But for now, I think somebody's been doing well. I wonder if he's actually been spending the last few days around this drainage line. So we're not too far from the camp itself, and we are pretty much just behind the dam wall of Gauri Dam, or where the dam cam is. And it is a very good area for leopards to be in. It's a perfect area for Tandy to leave him when she goes off hunting. Lots of little secret hideouts, lots of places where he can go if he feels threatened or there's anything that comes after him. And of course, the dam is right here, so if he gets thirsty, all he has to do is just walk to the dam and have a drink, which is quite wonderful, isn't it? So it makes me wonder if he's actually been spending a lot more time around here than what we actually initially thought, and he's never left. He just hasn't bothered to cross the road, and then if they don't cross roads and step on the roads, it becomes slightly more difficult for us to try and track them. Because, well, as you guys have seen, it is pretty impossible to see him when he was there. And we were just driving, and we thought we actually had to carry on driving further in, as per Tristan's instruction. And then, luckily, the flies were annoying him. So as he started moving his head like this, and we saw the white of the throat going up. So I'm very excited to see him. Like I said, this is only the second time that I've ever seen Thamba, and I'm sure that as the temperature starts moving down, or maybe the little flies annoy him a little bit more, he'll potentially start moving around. And he's still a youngster, so I think he's still curious about everything that's around. Maybe he's got a bit more energy and a bit less lethargic than what bigger leopards will do, and he's still very much keen to play. So I'm hoping that he's gonna start moving around a little bit later, once he manages, of course, to kill all those annoying flies that are around him that are not letting him sleep. I wonder actually if he has been playing all around this morning and just jumping from termite mound to termite mound, going underneath the bushes, or if he's just being a good boy around here waiting for Tandy. Now that would also be a treat if she decided to come around and see us.
All these trees that have fallen down that eventually will die, nothing really feeds on them, barring it's housing a couple of insects and reptiles who like to utilize them. But other than that, it really can be a serious fire hazard. It's important to keep these types of things under control. And also for these grasses, because we did have a good amount of rain, and I think that the grass is going to last quite a bit longer than we have seen in the sands. Well, grass at all. This was the first time working at Djuma that I actually saw grass. So it's going to be quite nice to see if we can put something through here just before the rains. And my goodness, the regrowth of all the vegetation that will pop through will be absolutely amazing. And I can tell you right now, the animals will most certainly enjoy it too. But isn't it cool? So you can see so far. I'm just looking at the monitor, and even with just looking at the monitor scanning into the bushes, I can spot all sorts of things. So it's quite nice. But I'm expecting to see the buffalo soon. Should we try, I guess, a new date, Sebastian? Because I was wrong the first time.
Yep.
Should we go the 15th of July? The first herd of buffalo is going to return to Djuma. That's very specific. We'll have to ask Ali as well when she thinks the buffalo are going to come back. I'd guess the end of last month. That didn't happen. But maybe my second guess will be slightly more accurate. Now, I believe, wasn't there bouts of rain? Seb, were you here now in the last 2 weeks?
Just before
You got back?
I got back.
Oh, yes, because Sebastian was also on leave. So that was quite interesting to have late rain like that, unusual. But of course, we won't say no to any rain, even if it means it just tops the dams up slightly. It will be much appreciated by the various animals. I think what we're going to do now, though, I think we're going to go around towards Treehouse Dam and inspect around those areas to see if there's anything around the water, maybe some nice bird life. But again, this wind, I think we're going to have to maybe even take a drive in the Mulwati at some point. Let's go this way around. Let's quickly check Gari Main, because this is a very special spot down here. I think, did you say boo? No, I don't know. I can't, sorry Alice. I know, I did say it correctly here. Tristan, I know, had a comms problem this morning, and I seem to have... Oh, okay, now I understand. Sorry. We seem to be having exactly the same issue this afternoon. I can't really make out what Alice is saying. It comes and goes. So sorry, not boo, as in give you a fright, but goo. You're saying, can I find you some baby ellies? I'd be so excited if I could show you some baby elephants. That would be quite wonderful. Even big ones. I'll be happy with some big ones too, like that big elephant bull. That would be quite nice too. Now, we've just popped up onto Gari Main in case you're wondering why we've got power lines and things. It's just one of the main roads for all the new viewers, but it's also a great road to check for tracks. It is a boundary road, and if we do see any fresh tracks on this ground, we know that they will be relatively recent, because it's so popular with all the different vehicles driving up and down here. But so far I haven't seen anything. But we'll go down, we'll check the pans at Shibamo. I'd like to see if there's still water in them, seeing as I haven't been at work for the last 2 weeks. Ali is still sitting with Thamba as he has a snooze in the long grass. Let's go and see if perhaps the flies have woken him up.
A little bit slightly more awake than what it was before, but I still think he is far too asleep. Right, it seems like Herbie has come to join the sighting, guys, so I'm just gonna move slightly forward so we can make a little bit space for them, as it's a bit of a tight spot around here. So let me just try and go slightly forward. I think this would be good for everyone involved. Hello, Herbie. Hello. Do you have more space? You can come a bit forward if it's better for you. All right. So let's go back. Let's go back over to that beautiful leopard around there. Sorry, guys. I know it's not the best visual, but we have to move a little bit because we also want to be respectful to other people that are working here and would like to come and have a look at little Thamba. And it's a bit of a tricky spot because it's quite thick all around us, so he has chosen the spot very well. And of course now there's the camouflage. Oh my goodness, you can barely see him through all of that grass. And now it seems like the shade of the trees actually started to reach him. Monique London, you say you have a strong urge to tickle his chin. Yeah, I'm sure it would be quite nice if you would be able to get him purring on your lap. However, this little cat is not as friendly. I reckon we would all end up with lots of holes if you ever even try to approach him. And what was that? Yes, were you saying that you're a tough boy and no tickles for you, huh? Yeah, they are very, very beautiful when they're this small, and I think they awake this instinct in all of us because they remind us so much of our domestic cats. I mean, if you look at it, they sleep like a domestic cat, they'll yawn like a domestic cat. However, they are that gazillion times stronger and wilder than our cats. So it's good to remember that it's very hard, even considering having any of these animals in captivity, which is something that obviously no wild animal should ever go through. So this is exactly where they belong. I mean, look at him. Doesn't he seem at peace and very happy to be out here amongst all that grass? I think if he could make a wish, perhaps it would be to have less flies around him. Now, he'll keep on popping his head back up every now and again, but I don't think it's any other reason than being mildly alert of what's around him. Tandy is nowhere around in this area, so I wonder if perhaps she's going to come later on during the night. Now, if she were to come back, she could either arrive, if this is the spot where she left her, and come check here, but if she doesn't find him where she last left him, likely she's going to start calling and sawing and just making that contact call. If he doesn't respond, then that's when she goes into sawing and just calling him, just so that he knows that, okay, mom's calling, I have to go straight back to her. And normally they are quite obedient, but as they start getting older, I've seen leopard cubs just take their time, because we've been in positions where you can see the mother calling, but she doesn't know where the cub is, and the cub just take their time in getting to mom. Sorry, Alice, there was a question by R. Lara Moore about the spots or the rosettes. I couldn't copy all of that question, if you don't mind repeating for me. Oh, you're wondering if he's got more solid spots than instead of rosettes, or if he's got more solid spots rather than rosettes. I don't think that's quite the case. A lot of the times when the leopards are still young and it's like they've got to grow into their spots, into their skin, they might appear spottier. And if you see a tiny little leopard cub, then they just pretty much seem to not have any rosettes. He does seem, however, to have more spots on his head and on his face, like proper spots instead of rosettes, than some of the other leopards that I've seen, or at least that's, just to me. But I think he's probably got a fair average and nothing to worry about. He doesn't seem to have more of one or less of the other. I think just around the face, that's where maybe he seems to have slightly more spots than some of the other cats, or some of the other leopard cubs that we've seen. Can we see your spotty face, please? There we go, all those spots there. I don't know, he does look very spotty, don't you guys think so? Mystic Wolf, you're wondering why can't leopards purr? Well, it's mainly because of the different structure that they've got around their vocal cords that connects the vocal cords to their trachea. Now, normally the cat world is divided between the big cats and the small cats, if I can put it that way. Now, the big cats would be cats that cannot purr, and the small ones are the cats that can purr. Animals like the lions and the leopards, they have more fatty deposits around their throat that are able to expand a little bit more, and they don't have, there's a bone that connects the vocal cords to the tendon to the top of the mouth, and that is not fully ossified. So because it's not fully ossified, it allows the animal to be able to make a bit more noise and stretch the fat deposits around the vocal cords and the cords a little bit more, and that's why they're able to produce this sound that sounds a lot further away than the purring of a cat that have got instead what's called an ossified hyoid at the bottom of their jaw. Seems like Taylor has managed to find a very interesting print in the sand. So let's go over to her and see what tracking lesson she's got in for us.
Right, we've got something quite interesting to show you now. I just jumped out of the car. I also think I can hear some vervet monkeys alarming maybe in the Mulwati, quite far from here. We're on the southern road that runs from Shibamo Pans, which are basically dried up. I can't believe how quickly that water disappeared. And this one goes all the way to Treehouse Dam. Now, have a look at this. Here's obviously a beautiful big elephant footprint. I'm standing. That's better. Let me get my shadow out of the track. And you can see that there is a leopard track in here. And this doesn't look like a female leopard track. It actually looks quite big. But I'm too scared to say whether it's an adult male now or whether it's a young male, because Tristan was telling me he can't believe how big Thamba's feet are, and that next time I get an opportunity and we find Thamba just on the other side of his tracks, I should have a look, because he says they look just like Tingana's footprints. Now, these tracks are over the top of these elephant tracks, but they don't look particularly fresh. But these elephant tracks seem to be quite fresh. I mean, if you start going through over here, it sort of looks like my footprint. There's very little dust over the top of it, but then they do disappear. So it must just be that these tracks were quite well sheltered, whether it's the length of the grass or the grooves in the road that's protecting it. But I thought that was quite nice to have two of the big 5 footprints in one go. Let's maybe head past Treehouse Dam and then see if we can get a closer sort of listen. Oh, no, it doesn't make sense. We're going to go down to where the vervet monkeys are alarming, but there have been quite a few raptors flying around too, so it could be just from them. So we're not going to get too excited just yet. Now, I don't know, I'm sure these leopard tracks were seen this morning. I know Ali was saying that there were lots of leopard tracks around Treehouse Dam. So I laughed and I said, oh, nothing has changed, because that was basically the last week that I was at work. Every single day we just had leopard footprints around Treehouse Dam, Shibamo, and then we drive and drive and drive and not find anything. We found an elephant though. So this must be this chap's footprints. I'm confused because those tracks didn't look particularly old, particularly fresh. And here he is. Now I think what I am going to do, because he's hiding behind the bush, I'm just going to pull off the road just slightly. It's nice and open here. Don't like to off-road for elephants, so we're not going to go far off of the road, just so that we don't have an obscured view. And I'm sure you'd rather see his face than his bottom. Hello boy. Well, there he is, feeding on a marula tree. Well, that's quite nice. And it's probably one of my favorite behaviors to sort of see with elephants, is how powerful they are by pulling down branches, pushing trees right over and exposing the roots. Oh, but listen to him though. This is also one amazing thing to hear. Hear that crunching sound? It reminds me of summer. I don't know why oh no, I do know why it reminds me of summer. It sounds like a kid chewing on an ice lolly. Oh, very nice. And they will feed a lot on the marula trees. They do hold quite a lot of water in them. If you've ever chopped open a marula tree, you'll see that. It's delicious. And he seems to be eating quite a fair amount of the bark too. Not the horrible outside layer, that nice fissured bark. Well, the only reason it is nice is for scratching. It makes for a good scratching post. But other than that, stripping that part away, and then you can see eating almost the heartwood, the nice white bits. He's enjoying himself. I don't know if he's pulled this down himself. It doesn't look particularly fresh, so perhaps another elephant had already been through this area and pulled down this tree, and now he's just feeding on the remnants. But he's having a great time. He's got a bit of shade too. He's not standing directly in the sunlight. You can see all that lovely dappled light covering his body, so he won't be particularly hot. And I suppose that's why we're not seeing him flapping his ears, because it is warm today. It's not a cool day, and I'm sure he's appreciating the breeze as well. He doesn't have to go too far. He can just stand around here. When he's ready to go for a drink, he hasn't been for one just yet. Maybe he would have had a splash about a little bit earlier. I can see a couple of wet patches on his body, but they've dried quite a bit. He'll probably wander on back down towards Treehouse Dam and quench his thirst over there. You can hear that, all the rustling in the grass from the wind, as well as the leaves. We did have a big cold front though. There was a cold front that hit Cape Town, wasn't it? And we even experienced the wind right up on the border of South Africa, Botswana and Zimbabwe, where I was, around Mapungubwe National Park. it was exceptionally windy. Did you hear that? I don't know if that was maybe a zebra. I heard a like a snort. Maybe there's a couple of zebra around here. Maybe there's some more elephants. Perhaps that came from the other end of an elephant. But it is so happy. I'm so happy that we've got to see an elephant. That's our first animal. Besides the yellow-billed hornbill, which stuck around for about 2 seconds when we first started off the show. So not a bad animal to start with. My favorite animal. Munching about. Okay, investigating, trying to find the perfect piece of marula to eat. Don't see any more small bits now, so maybe he's going to demonstrate his strength for us and break another piece. I love that sound so much. And that's what's so great about coming on a safari. I think the first time you come on a safari, I know, you're so excited about seeing all the animals. You have a checklist, you want to see certain things, certain birds, all the big 5. But then the next time that you come, it's really, really quite amazing, because you're not too worried about seeing all the big things because you got the perfect pictures on your first trip. But you start to do things like listen and smell. You start seeing things that you never noticed before. And sound is such an important thing out here in the bush. There you go, he's found a small bit to munch on. Isn't that delicious? Well, let's see if he's going to do the old corkscrew technique, which they love to do with the bush willows and the silver cleft leaves when they are eating the bark. No, eating the entire thing. Didn't like that piece too much. And this is a fairly sort of easy tree for them to feed on. There's no thorns, the leaves are lovely and tasty. There doesn't seem to be a high tannin content in the marulas, so they can't stand here for hours on end and just constantly keep feeding off of the one tree. Now I'm just going to quickly call this elephant sighting in. Heidi, you said that he's just chewing on a branch and dreaming a little bit. You know what, I agree, I think he's doing that. If you had to put this into a South African context, it would be a South African watching the rugby, probably a beer in one hand and perhaps a stick of biltong, which is dried meat. It's a speciality that we have out here. You find it in any South African's cupboard. Let me call this in. Herbie, I've got one male elephant here just on the southern road between Treehouse Dam and Shubamu. He's just static feeding on a marula. I'll just quickly call that in for Herbie. He's also out. Herbie's driving, I think, Pippa and Uria here, the landowners of Djuma, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's taking them out on a safari, so that's quite nice. I'm sure they'll be enjoying it. Come on, boy, demonstrate. Pull another big piece of branch off, straight right up top. I remember, was it with you, Sebastian, that we had that really cool elephant sight? No, it was with Ferg on Chitwa, where we had this big ellie bull. He was much larger, much older than the one that we're looking at now, and he stretched right up to the top and was feeding on the leaves. And then I think a couple of you took screenshots and said it looked like a dinosaur, and it was really quite amazing, the silhouette of him. It looked like a big brontosaurus, which was quite nice. That's an amazing thing to see, and we don't get to see it too often out here in South Africa. But as soon, well, not even South Africa, in the Sabi sands, occasionally you can, but as soon as you start heading towards the areas where there's massive inyala berries and anna trees that have all got lovely fruit and delicious pods, you'll see the elephants standing up on in their back legs. And an iconic place to see that, of course, is in Mana Pools in Zimbabwe, but you can see it also in Mapungubwe. We actually saw an elephant do that now recently, stretching right up. And then in Zambia, at this time of the year, you see it all the time, which is quite nice. Going to feed along the edges of the river. He's so relaxed. And this is great to see these animals are so relaxed, not affected by our presence at all. Now, Gail, as we watch and we see him stick his trunk back into his mouth, you've commented and you said that you love the way that they're able, how nimble they are with those two little fingertips on the edge of their trunks. It's really incredible. Look at that. He knows exactly which piece he wants and which wasn't going in the right way, or perhaps it didn't taste as nice, and we'll throw it out and move it all about. I love particularly watching the youngsters before they've even learned how to use their trunks. That has to be one of the most entertaining things, and you can really just sit for hours and hours on end watching them. Look at that. See, those bits don't look too nice. I don't think they look very tasty. I would have gone for a different piece. But I suppose I should just leave it to the expert. He's been eating marula trees a lot longer than I have. He's probably even older than what I am. I'd put him at around late 20s, early 30s perhaps. He's not particularly big, like I said. He hasn't got big ivory. But not all elephants get big ivory, though. It's all got to do with their genetics. He's very interested. You see how he keeps touching the same piece of the marula tree. He's done that 4 times now, where he'll eat, he'll take his small little bits which he loves. He's now swatting flies that are trying to bite him, but he keeps touching that particular piece. I don't know if there's a certain scent on there that he's trying to figure out what it is, or maybe some other elephants were feeding on this particular tree earlier. Like I said, I don't think he's pulled this down. I think this was done a couple of days ago. Looks like there's quite a bit of damage to a few of the marulas, and I can't remember seeing 2 weeks ago, which is possible. They definitely are going to start feeding on all of this lovely stuff. And with all the water drying out too, not just the grass becoming less palatable, they will start to feed on things that have a higher water content. Remember, elephants are very picky when they come to drinking water. They'll rather walk the extra mile to go and dig water in a riverbed than drink dirty water. Now, Mary, wondering if I know the size and the age of this beauty. It's hard to say. Unfortunately, we haven't been following this young lad for his entire life. So, like I said, I'd put his age at late 20s, early 30s, and weight-wise, it's a tough one. I mean, a big elephant bull, 5.5 tons, quite easily, maybe even pushing 6 tons. Some of the massive tuskers and Kruger can definitely get to that. I would have to say he must weigh about maybe 4.5 tons, somewhere around there. So he's big, he's tall. He's not quite as big as what he is yet. Another 10 years or so, and he'll be competing with the top dogs out here with mating with the females. Remember that beautiful big tusker we saw for about 2 weeks, almost every single day? The one that chased Ali around a couple of times. He wasn't her friend. Made us giggle, because every time she came back from drive, she said, "He chased me again." He didn't like the cars, that fella. But of course he was in must. He wasn't as tolerant as what the elephants are when they aren't in must. And he was a particularly large elephant too. So I think we're going to start seeing some more of those. We just need the breeding herds to come back. They've obviously moved off, constantly doing mini migrations around the sands and looking for new food. But they'll be back. I'm back. I love the elephants, so I always keep asking for them. I think let's change position. Let's see if we can get a different view, because he's now turned in a position, as you can see, where we can't see his face. We can just see half of his body. So let's go back onto the road again. We'll just reverse and see if we can find another gap. And if he doesn't decide to go and do anything, we'll keep going and heading down towards Treehouse Dam, have a little look. We can always come back. Like I said, he doesn't look like he's going to go too far. Right. So I'm going to try and find a good spot for us to view this elephant bull, and maybe we will have a quick look around to see if anything else is here. Ali is still sitting with the beautiful Thamba. It's starting to get cool now. The flies are bothering him. Surely he's going to get up.
Well, for now it seems like he's not looking to get up and move around, although he is looking very beautiful. We can just see the spots on his belly going up and down while he breathes. And it's quite funny. I think at one point he was a bit hot because it was moving a lot faster. So as we know, the cats, they don't sweat like what we do, so therefore they need to pant and use their respiration through their mouth to be able to cool down or maintain a certain body temperature, make sure they don't overheat. So every now and again it seems like he goes through a bit of a hot patch and his breathing becomes a bit faster, and then it stabilizes a little bit more. Beautiful. He's sleeping so peacefully this afternoon. Stacy, you're wondering if I would think that his paws are exceptionally big for a male this age. Well, it certainly seems so. I mean, this morning, Tristan, who's been tracking for quite a while, he thought that his tracks were Tingana's tracks, and Tingana is an adult male leopard, and a very big one, quite at that. So that's I think it is. I haven't seen too many of his tracks yet, and I haven't had a proper look at his paws, but it seems like that's a reputation he's earned all around, just because, I mean, like we said, if you are able to confuse the tracks of a pretty much a 1-year-old leopard on the sand with the ones of a maybe 10-11-year-old male, I think it's a good indication that this little guy is going to grow a lot more. He's probably going to have to grow into his paws and into his ears. So I think he was probably above average. Very big paws. Maybe we should have named him after the paws. I don't think anybody expected that to happen. Justin, as you're saying, that poor Thamba has had such a rough day waiting for his mother. It certainly seems like he has had a tough day waiting for Thandi. But at this time, or at this point in time, and because he's so old, Thandi might even be gone for a few days at a time. If she doesn't manage to successfully kill anything, that she can come and fetch Thamba and then take it back to the kill. So for the next few days, he's about a year old, so I have no doubt that he's already making small kills that'll be able to sustain him. So anything from like a squirrel, mongoose, maybe francolins, I'm sure. Well, we saw him stalking francolins the other day, and even impala, so he already knows, he's got the instinct, and I'm sure he's hunted smaller things when mom's not around. But I would suppose that the fact that he doesn't have a sibling, maybe he's gonna, he might get a bit bored every now and again, and we'll have to wait until mom gets here, and then he'll get quite excited. So perhaps he's he's just waiting for Thandi to get back to have a bit of a playmate for a little while. He does seem to have been exceptionally busy during the morning, because he has not woken up pretty much since the time that we arrived. He's every now and again, the head perks up and then he goes back down to sleep. But seeing there is no time like spending leopard time, we have all the patience in the world for him to wake up and start moving around. So I think it'll be quite good to see where he goes, and perhaps maybe later on even Thandi might come around, because it seems like they've enjoyed lately going onto the dam cam and being photographed over there. So I wonder if perhaps we're gonna get another photograph of the two of them this evening. Seems like definitely considering it. Tough day for you indeed, waiting for mom. Properly asleep. I think now the shade of the tree has caught on to him, so he's not out in the open, and I don't think he's going to be that warm for too long. So I wonder if maybe he's going to start feeling a little bit cold, and that's the reason why he might jump up and start moving around. And then, well, of course, if Thandi were to come around, he would wake up, or if there were any other creature that might spark his interest, anything from a francolin to maybe an impala to an elephant walking around, he would very quickly be very alert. It is quite funny, because looking at him now, it barely seems that way, doesn't it? All those sleepy spots. Seems like Taylor has left the green giant, who was enjoying an afternoon snack, but let's go over to her and see what else she's on the lookout for today.
We're just doing a quick little bumble. We went to check Treehouse Dam, and there wasn't very much around other than a hippopotamus, Scuba Steve, that likes to hide underneath the water. Remember that sighting we had where we had that huge herd of elephants? That exciting morning we had Tingana as well pop up behind the fighting elephants, and that that hippo stayed underwater for such a long time, so he's quite shy. He doesn't seem to like the cars very much. So we just left the little one to his day, and there's quite a few tracks of elephant bulls, but just sort of one on their own. So I don't know if it's the same bull that we've seen and he's just been doing the same thing we've done, going around and around all day long. But I haven't picked up on any more fresh leopard tracks, so perhaps all of the tracks that we have been seeing from this morning. The ones we had on that new road near the Balanites junction, we got bouncing here, they were definitely between Game Drive. They were very, very, very nicely preserved. There's a little steenbok. I'm going to pretend like I'm driving past. Nobody look. Nobody look. Oh, there's two. It's a mating pair. How exciting. Where are you? They're just in there. Let's see. There. Still very camouflaged. They just ducked behind the bushes. Okay. Grass is still too long. Still concealing all the steenbok. But like I was saying, this is the perfect area. Sort of the southwestern corner of the property. For young, inexperienced leopards that wouldn't necessarily be able to take on something as challenging as an impala, I definitely think they might have a better chance of going after a steenbok or a duiker, particularly because they're solitary. So they don't have all the extra eyes and ears like a nyala or a impala, of course, have, living in family groups. So it's a good spot for them to come and hunt around here. But I'm just going to check very, very carefully as we drive along Shabamu. Like I said, I'm not missing any more leopards. Hello. Let me go back. There's a beautiful lilac-breasted roller. Hopefully it doesn't fly. No, just land on an even better branch. Ah, you good bird. Thank you. And another steenbok. No, that was a duiker running off into the distance. Just up to the right, top right. Almost. No, there it is.
I have to use your monitor, so...
There we go. There's a bit of a glare on the screen today, but a lovely lilac-breasted roller. You know what I did see? I did see a purple roller up in Mapungubwe. That was quite cool because we've stopped seeing them for a little bit. I saw so many new birds. I saw some new lifers. I saw a lesser jacana. That was really nice. I saw pied babblers, and I'll show you pictures of all of these birds. And my favorite, crimson breasted shrike, which is absolutely gorgeous. I think that the crimson breasted shrike could give the lilac breasted roller a run for its money. So as you look at the lilac breasted roller, I'm actually going to open my book. I found my bird book, by the way, too, and I misplaced that for quite some time, and I'm going to show you a picture. Right, let me just have to go old school. Let's go to S for shrikes. I've forgotten how to use a bird book. There we go. 394. That's not too far away. Wonderful. Have a look at this. Bye, little beautiful roller. Let me draw your attention away for just a moment. This bird down over here is stunning. It is the most striking bird. You can see it from a mile away. You sort of see its back, all the beautiful black markings and the little white stripe on the wing there, and then of course the bright red breast, which is really nice. So in that particular area they're quite common, and then also you very lucky you can see the yellow morph, which you saw just up top there. Wasn't spoiled enough. Should I see if I can find the pied babbler for you as well? Let me show you all these new birds that I saw. B for babbler, and you see I have started ticking off some of the birds, but I'm going to have to add a whole lot more because the last time that I did this must have been about 2 years ago, and I've definitely seen a whole lot more since then. So babbler, let's go pied. 1, no, that's the wrong page. Let's just go to 310. Almost there. Almost. See my book spin through the walls, and I had this book for such a long time. I think this is the longest bird book I've had. There we go. These ones here. Bottom left. How beautiful are they? Now it's bizarre to see them because we're so used to seeing the arrow mark babblers. So to see a pied babbler is one of the most bizarre things ever. It almost looks unnatural. It doesn't have the bright red eye that an arrow mark babbler has. It has sort of more of a yellowish eye. But they were so beautiful. And in case you haven't seen an arrow mark babbler, perhaps this is your first time, if you go up just a little bit, you'll see the pied and the arrow mark babblers there. So quite different looking. Very much similar in shape, and the way that they fly is exactly the same. Their call is also slightly different. Perhaps I'll play the call for you too. So that's how we actually spotted them, is I heard the sound and I thought, it sounds a little bit like a babbler, but not the one that I'm familiar with. And then we had a little listen. Should I find it for you? Let me see. Should we have another look at the roller? Because it's still very beautifully sitting there, and that light is turning out to be quite lovely. So I'm just going to get this call. Let's go into my bird app. Rolla, you're not going to swoop down and catch a tasty insect for us? Though it must be quite difficult now for, of course, the birds that are feeding on insects, because they're few and far between. The odd butterfly is still fluttering about. I haven't seen any grasshoppers just yet. Right. Are you ready to hear the call? So that is the strange call of the pied babbler. It's a bit weird. It sort of sounds like an arrow mark babbler, and I'll play their call as well just so you can hear the difference. It sounds like an arrow marked with a sore throat. So quite different, but beautiful nonetheless. It was really, really quite nice to see them. I'm trying to think, what else did I see? Oh, I didn't show you the Blessed Jacana picture. We'll get to that a little bit later. Let's continue with our little journey down this way. Was it just those birds that I saw? I thought I'd maybe seen some more. Oh, so white-browed sparrow weavers. Haven't seen them in a very long time. They're quite beautiful birds. Here we go. So Alice, can I have the beginning part of that question again? Sorry, I just missed the... there we go. Now, we have a question from Tula Ann. And hello Tula Ann, it's very nice to hear from you again. I've missed you all lots. I've missed all my children viewers who've always asked the greatest questions. So the question from young Tula Ann is, do elephants ever pick up sticks thinking, or pick up snakes thinking that they're sticks? Tula Ann, you know, I'm not sure. I've never seen that happen. I think an elephant knows. Their senses are so acute that stepping on another animal I don't think is very common. I think it happens with tortoises every now and then, but as you can imagine, a tortoise is not particularly the fastest moving thing, so it's not able to run out of an elephant's path, and they're also so camouflaged, they just look like rocks on the ground. So I think occasionally elephants will squash tortoises, but a snake, I think they would sense it, and I think they might even be quite nervous of something like a snake, and then they would alert or will tell all the other elephants about it. But it would be quite funny. Can you imagine? I don't know what the snake's reaction would be if it got picked up by an elephant. Probably try and bite the elephant. But elephants have got very, very thick skin too. And if you think about it, snakes bite things like horses, but horses' skin is not necessarily as thick as a rhino or an elephant, or even, maybe buffalo is slightly thinner. So I think they could get damaged, especially if it maybe on the trunk, a sensitive spot. Okay, so we haven't had any luck now with our leopards just yet. But we'll come back to our friend the elephant. We'll see if he's still here. He should just be around the corner. This is where we left him. And I wonder if he's actually moved at all. Let's see. Around the bend we go. Bavukile, you're wondering as we drive about, but look, babblers. Oh, no, an elephant. Is it our friend or is it a different one? No, there's lots of things. There's babblers now, arrow mark babblers jumping around here. I'm so sorry, I'll get back to your question now, but here's an elephant. I think it is our friend, it is. He's just moved across the road now. Hello. Yeah, it's the same chap. Now, the question was, of course, what was it? Got distracted by the elephant. Do the animals in southern Africa migrate too? I suppose they don't really. Unfortunately, what's happened in sort of, if you're saying southern Africa, then you can include places like Zimbabwe and that, then yes, they do. But if you're just talking about South Africa, not to the point where they have freedom to go anywhere. Unfortunately for the animals, us humans have been a huge inconvenience, and we've decided to inhabit all of these areas. So in order to protect them, because we cannot live peacefully with animals for many different reasons, of course, which we can go into at a later stage. We've tried to protect them and we put them in these national parks, these protected conservation areas. So we've got big fences up. So even though the Kruger National Park, or the greater Kruger, is 8.5 million acres, or 4 million hectares, so roughly, there is a fence, there is a massive boundary fence. So they've got a huge area to go. But the biggest thing that we see here is normally the animals would have gone west in the winter months, all the way to the Drakensberg Mountains to go and drink from the springs. Natural water occurs and all around there, but they aren't able to do that anymore because we've got a big fence up, of course. But it's important that we have this fence to try and preserve the wildlife around here. Elibu is moving off now into the thicker stuff. He's actually going in the complete opposite direction now, but he's going down into this little drainage which I've driven up a couple of times, and there's lovely nice green trees in there. The vegetation in the drainage lines are always a lot greener and a lot tastier, so maybe he'll come back for a drink later. There's a zebra in here too, but also hiding away, probably hiding away from the wind. It's almost impossible to see, but there's some impala. I can see a couple of rams, and that noise that I heard earlier that I said sounded like no, that's not what it sounded like, but it's sort of a snort of a horse. It was the zebra, it wasn't from the rear end of an elephant. And there's a couple of them. I wonder if it's those stallions that we've been seeing every now and then, or just before I went on leave, we saw them quite often actually around this particular area. It's very difficult to be able to tell you what. There is another bum with a swishing tail, also just munching about. You can see now the trees are moving around quite vigorously, so down in that drainage line it'll be nice and peaceful. They'll be able to hear a little bit better, but it makes it a bit difficult for us to, of course, see these animals. Right, well, thank you very much, Deborah, for hiding away. Would have been nice to have had a good view of them. Perhaps a little bit later they'll come out, maybe they'll turn back and go back towards Treehouse Dam. But let's go across to Miss Allie and see if her patience is wearing thin as she waits for Thamba to wake up.
Well, I think previous experience have shown us that we have to be patient, and nothing like waiting for a leopard to build up some of your virtues, as they say, because they say patience is a virtue. So we're still here waiting for little Thamba to wake up. He has not moved pretty much an inch. He seems to be enjoying this afternoon nap quite a bit, and I do wonder if he's actually maybe been just jumping around and moving up and down the whole day, and that's why he's decided to have such a good rest. He could also slowly start becoming older. He is a year old sometime this month, and it is his birthday month. So as they start becoming older, our leopards will start to play a little bit less, and as they come out of that kitty phase, if I can put it that way, or that cub phase, which is probably more appropriate to say, and they're gonna start maybe napping a little bit more and playing a little bit less. So just as a way of weaning off that those characteristics that just make him a real cub. Although he's still got quite a while to go, so I'm sure he will still enjoy playing as much as he will napping. Oh, wonderful. Paul, you're wondering if Tingana would attack Thamba if he saw him. Well, I'm not too sure who the father or who is believed to have sired Thamba. So if it is Tingana and he's seen it with Thandi before, then there's a very good chance that there would just be an odd encounter and he would just growl, and Thamba would very likely go into a submissive posture and, just let Thamba know that he is the ruler all around. But if Tingana does recognize it as its own cub, then there's a very good chance that he will not be too aggressive with him. As a matter of fact, some of the guys were letting us know, for example, that about a few weeks ago, Hosanna ran into Tingana. Now, Hosanna, I don't know if you guys remember, we had a sighting with him on Chitwa about 2-3 weeks ago, and it seemed like he had a bit of a scratch on his head, and it was then said to us that it was because Tingana had actually run into him and there was a bit of an altercation, which wasn't a fully aggressive one, but perhaps because Tingana does recognize him as part of his genetic lineage, then maybe that's why. And I would assume something similar would happen with Tingana in this area. leopards are somewhat more social than what it is believed that they can be in some other areas. Often we've seen, the males with the females and the cubs, but obviously as everyone starts getting older, or as the cubs start getting older, then that is a bond that is precariously there when they're small, and as they get older, well, then it's pretty much erased. So I think for the time being, if Tingana were to bump into Hasana, there would still be a bit of an altercation and probably a lot of growling. But he's still not in that age where he would be much of a threat. Now, depending on the conditions and how and where he bumped into it, the aggression levels might be a little bit more or a little bit less. But, for example, if Tingana weren't to recognize him, or if he was not too happy with his presence there, then I reckon he would be quite aggressive towards him. About a week ago, we had Tingana steal a kill from him and Thandi, so I'm pretty sure Tingana knows who Thamba is, at least at some level, but it seems like the altercation didn't go all that well. He stole the kill from the two of them, and then Thandi and Thamba were seen going somewhere else, and Tingana going on to his own area. So I think Thamba still needs to be slightly careful. He doesn't want to be running into male leopards anytime soon, especially if Thandi's not around. So he's got youth on his side in the sense that he can still run away very quickly, or he can be quite quick if he has to, and he has to run away from everyone else. So I do hope that if he does bump into Tingana, it's going to be with Thandi present, because I think that might change things a little bit, or give him a bit more of odds in his favor. Leslie, you're wondering how well does a leopard's camouflage work? Well, we can try and show you if maybe we zoom out, and then you can let us know if you can see the leopard. So that is just how well. If you didn't know exactly where to look, and imagine you're not looking at a big screen, you're just looking with your own eyes, it's very hard to tell if the leopard is there. And sometimes it's either the movement or the white part of the belly or the chin that gives it away, because it's very, very hard to see them. There we go. And it is funny to think that just a few spots managed to hide him so well in the bushes and in the thickets. It's the same why some of the other animals have stripes. They all pretty much have a function of camouflage, just to be able to blend better into the environment, into the backdrop, but as well to break the body shape. Because once you are able to determine that there's a mass that's moving, then very likely you'll be able to spot the animal. But if you don't know, or if you can't determine the contour or the lines of the body, then it becomes a bit harder to be able to spot it, don't you think? Look at that. I mean, imagine just driving through here very quickly, or being another leopard and walking by. Unless you're paying a lot of attention, very likely you would miss it. That is incredible. Very sleepy Thamba. I just need to answer the radio 1 second. Standing by, Rolf. A-firm. Alright, sorry, there was somebody else that was trying to get directions onto where we are, and I'm sure they'll be joining us not lately, in the next few minutes. Justin, sorry, you were wondering if leopard paws are similar to human prints, in the sense I would imagine that finger details and fingerprints whereby each one of them is individual, and you can tell the individual apart just by looking at the print. I reckon that to some extent, yes, they will all be different in terms of size, and likely if they have injuries or cracks. For example, the soles of the feet, the footprints of an elephant, they're all individual because of all the cracks and the little ridges that are in there. I do think, however, that it's slightly easier to determine individual leopards, not by looking necessarily at its prints, which might be very similar to the one of other leopards, but rather to look at an animal's coat, because then you will definitely have something entirely different from one individual to the next. And I'm sure you've heard us commenting on just how spotty Thamba seems to look like. If we were to look just as it spots, even if we didn't know who this was, we'd be able to then say that it's a completely different leopard from another one that we could see. Justin, you're wondering what could Thamba be possibly dreaming about? I don't know. I think maybe he could be dreaming about dinner. I think Thamba looks like the type of cub that would enjoy a very good meal. Oh, somebody's being shy. I think maybe dinner, maybe finding a new play toy, maybe going hunting. Maybe he wants to be a tough big leopard when he grows old. It would be quite interesting. Oh my goodness, big, nice stretch. Seems like Thamba's not going to be going anytime soon, but let's go over to Taylor, who's got a bird that likes to fly away all the time.
It does like to fly away all the time, like the other birds, but this one, however, is behaving for now. And it is a beautiful sighting of a crested barbet. I think the most pretty barbet that we get out here, though I think my favorite has to be the black-collared barbet, and we're not far. Sorry, just hopping up a little bit higher. I like the black-collared barbets, and we might get a chance to see them actually, as I've seen them in a few of these jackalberries right here at the Mulwati. But it is a beautiful little bird. I mean, it's got an abundance of colors on it. Look, the yellow, reds, black, white. Isn't it stunning? And it's now going to give itself a little preen, as I think it's also trying to warm itself up, catching the last of the afternoon rays before it gets ready for a cold night. Now, because the wind has only just picked up later on this afternoon, I think we're going to have a very chilly morning, unless this wind blows over some clouds and off it goes. So I think everybody's going to be appreciating the warm weather. Now, we've just come past Twin Dams. Unfortunately, no luck this side. I did just hear on the radio, it sounds like on Torchwood somewhere they found a pride of lions. I'm not sure which lions they are. They didn't specify the pride, but I'll keep an ear out to see what they get up to. I think we're going to do a Mulwati drive. I'd like to find these black-collared barbets, because I searched and searched the last cycle and they got away from me. I don't think I'm going to let them do it again. Let's go into 4x4 though. And down we go. Maybe we find some elephants too. Again, because of all the wind, we've seen the zebra, the impala hiding out in the drainage lines. Perhaps this is where the elephants will be too. Now, for the barbets, we need to check on the tops of the trees. And I've got another bird. Maybe we'll find a southern bobo, which is quite a cool bird that you don't get to see too often up here. Right, so we'll keep an eye out for those birds. We're going to keep searching, looking high, looking low, and speaking about, well, maybe not looking low, but feeling low. Ali, you're doing a great job of being patient for Thamba. I hope that your persistence pays off. Go across to them.
Well, we don't know just yet, Taylor, but we hope that it will, and we are certainly going to stick around to see if perhaps the persistent pays off. But I was very happy to see, or to hear, rather, that elephant was around earlier on. It seems like the Ellies have somewhat maybe been waiting for Taylor to come back. I wonder. Hopefully Thamba will stick around for the next few days for Taylor to also come and have a look, because if there's something we both have tried very hard with Thamba is to be persistent and just try and have a look at him. I'm hoping that at one point he's gonna sit down and then look at us, because I would love to have a clear view of his face, because the only other time that I've seen him, he was also in between branches and thickets, so it wasn't the clearest view. And I think maybe I'm just being a bit spoiled now, because I know there's a possibility of him looking quite regal on top of the termite mound. I'm wishing it. I'm sure everybody would love to see Thamba, and I don't know what it is. He seems to enjoy termite mounds quite a bit. I think he jumps on top of the termite mounds more than some of the other cubs that I've seen. Likely to get away from the grass, but more likely than not it's because he's still a bit small, so I'm sure he prefers the vantage point to be able to look around him and see what's been happening. That camouflage, it is something unbelievable, isn't it? Andra, you're wondering at what age will Thandi leave Thamba for good? Well, normally between 1.5 to 2 years, that's when female leopards are going to start pushing their previous litter away and pretty much forcing them into independence. So Thamba's very likely still got a few months. It is... Apparently there have been rumors, and now I don't know how much truth there is in this, but that Thandi has been seen walking around with Tingana. Now, I'm not too sure if that's an actual fact, or if there's just assumptions that somebody's made by looking at tracks, which we know that sometimes doesn't always work. But if, for example, if Thandi were to start mating with Tingana now, very likely in the next 4 months or so she would have a new litter, so she would start pushing Thamba away pretty much anytime in the next 3 to 4 months. If she hasn't come into estrus yet, then that will give Thamba, I would say, maybe 6 to 8 months at least before he gets pushed out. It depends on every single situation and of every single female leopard, but I think at least for the next 4 months, 5 months, I would push it, 6 even. Very likely Thamba will be somewhere around Thandi, and she'll be somewhere around. He's still a bit too young to be able to start bringing down bigger prey like impala, like the way that Hosanna is doing now, or that we've seen him do. But I have no doubt, like I was saying earlier, that he's able to bring down smaller things. So I don't think he's quite ready to be independent yet, and then I think that also plays a very important role before a female leopard goes back into heat, just that making sure that their offspring are on that stage where they can successfully be pushed into adulthood and become independent and succeed at being a solitary creature and providing for themselves. He is quite a stunning creature, isn't he? Lara Moore, you're wondering, where is Thandi? I don't really know. I don't think we've seen her for the last little bit, and funny enough, the last time that we saw her was on one of the screenshots of the dam cam where she seemed to have been having a drink with Thamba. So possibilities are that she is indeed somewhere with Tingana, which I don't think it's quite the case. Or more likely than not, she is out hunting, waiting to, well, hopefully she'll be successful, and once she is, and she'll come back and potentially take Thamba back to that kill. She was on a kill, well, that we know of, about 5 days ago or so with Thamba, a kill that unfortunately we didn't manage to find until Tingana came and stole it from them. So I wouldn't be surprised if after that they made another kill, or she was successful at bringing something down, or maybe something smaller, maybe like a diker or something like that, and then they've moved into this area because they were last seen coming into the Molowati. So I wonder if perhaps they haven't been here all along, moving up and down, and this morning she was not seen, and she hasn't been seen the last few days. So my best guess is that she's out hunting. Very likely though, and just remember, leopards are opportunistic animals, so it could very well be that she, in her hunting process, she is doing exactly the same as Thamba. She is resting somewhere in the vicinity, somewhere in the area, and once the conditions become a bit more favorable for her to start moving around and go hunting, then that's when she's going to start doing it, and she'll only come back to fetch Thamba once she manages to bring down a kill, or if too many days have passed and she hasn't checked up on her cub. What a range of possibilities we have here. Oh, look at that pretty face. He is so fast asleep. You can't even see the face. It is incredible what all those little spots do. Alexis, you're 6 years old and you're wondering if a snake would ever kill a leopard. Yes, it has happened before, where we think that leopards that we are very much used to seeing have been bitten by snakes and then have died. Sometimes depending on the snake, and if it bites them really, really hard, and it depends what type of snake it is, sometimes they can recover, sometimes they don't. But yep, it does happen. The snakes every now and again kill leopards that we have in this area, because just like we do sometimes when the leopards go walking around in the grass, they will bump into a snake without even noticing, and they might be a bit too close to them. It seems like the little prince is not ready to wake up yet, so why don't we go over to Taylor, who's managed to fight off all the gremlins of the Molowati.
Yeah.
Well, we're going on a bit of an adventure now. We as we were driving through the Mulwati, we spotted some leopard tracks coming up towards actually the direction where Thamba is, and then they disappeared out of the Mulwati and came up north. So I didn't want to go walking just yet, just because I thought, my goodness, I could be gone for ages. So I decided to drive in. We're just going to have a quick look around here and see. Now, it was somewhere around here that the tracks came in. Now, if they're so close, they did look like female tracks. Maybe it is Thandi. Maybe Thandi could just be around here moving about, looking for something to eat. And that's the only real reason why she would leave Thamba, is to go and find them a delicious meal. Let's just have a quick squiz. It was around here, I reckon. I'll also check the ground. There's some nice big jackalberries. There wasn't really much of a road leading into here, so we've just been following the animal pathways. But thankfully, the brush has got a lot thinner. Okay, so nothing here. Quickly turn and try and get back out again. Otherwise, we'll continue all the way along Battalier Road. We'll just check a little bit around here, a little bit further, and then we'll go back towards the road and head all the way up towards Buffelshoek Dam. Here's some nice sandy soil, so this, if there is any tracks, we should be able to see them if she's come this way. Now we've got to go through these old mud wallows. And up we go again. See, this drainage line is interesting. There's a small little piece that moves away from the Mulwati and goes through here too. Now, we of course know that leopards love to hunt around river systems and drainage lines, just again because it's a lot, well, it allows for a lot greener vegetation, which means that the animals will be sort of, what is that? Is that those hornbills jumping about in the grass? Okay, that's something caught my eye, but not a leopard. It was just some hornbills in the grass. So they'll come and move around here. So that could have happened. There's a big animal pathway. That's obviously where the animals are crossing. I don't think we're going to be able to. No. Okay, I think let's turn around. Let's go back and we'll drive up Battalier Road. Perhaps we'll do Gwari Pan Road. That also runs around some drainage systems. Woo! Just keep searching. We got to keep searching though. Left and right. Making sure that we're not missing any cats. And as we drive through this long grass, Gail, you were wondering, will the grass just dry out or will it be eaten by the animals? A bit of both. Some of the grasses aren't necessarily the nicest, and sometimes the animals will just leave them, but out of pure desperation, if there isn't anything else to eat, and when you are like the animals and you literally are just eating to survive, well, we eat to survive too, but we indulge in many unnecessary items of food. Sorry, Franklin. They will then of course eat it. I'm just going to go over these little shrubs here. These are all dead from the elephants, and now we need to make our way back towards the road and try and choose the easiest pathway. Luckily there's a massive network of animal paths going left, right, up and down, so it is making it a little bit easier for me to navigate now. So that's another nice thing. When we do start to follow the cats off the road, it's going to be a lot easier. Cameramen aren't going to be whacked in the face by buffalo thorns anymore. And I'm sure, hey Sebastian, you'll appreciate that. Or no more scars. Scarless winter. Here we go. I'm going to actually go out of low range now. It's back on the road again. And so yeah, so winter's, it's very pleasant for a number of different things. We start to see a lot more animals hanging around the watering holes. We then start to see a lot of predators, and then of course for navigating off-road it makes it much more pleasant. Right, up we go, except when the elephants have been through an area and then they've just trashed trees all over the show. Then it can still be quite difficult. Now I'm going to scan very carefully because we're getting to that time of the day now where it's starting to cool down, the sun is starting to set. Oh, here's green wood hoopus. Where are you going to sit? They're beautiful birds. They're just up here. They're sitting in some shrubs. White, oh hang on, there's a whole lot of birds actually. Can you see them just there? Oh, it's beautiful. There's also white-crested helmet shrikes, but we'll have a look at the wood hoopus first because they've got the light shining on them now, and they've got beautiful feathers. Look at that. You get colors of green, you get some purple, and of course the white spots just on their wings and underneath their tail, and of course that beautiful bright orange bill, which they will use to probe around in between the bits and pieces of bark, looking for little grubs or beetles, anything that may be living in there. So they don't use their beaks like a woodpecker does. They don't hammer away at things, but it is long enough, and you can see they're able to stick it into any of these little crevices quite easily. And like the hardy dart, they have got a sensory nerve which helps them locate where their insects may be. Now, I'm very lucky to actually have such a long sighting of green woodhoopers. They're notorious for flying away. There's one just down to the right, just there we go. It's just there's only two of them. I've only seen the two. Just to the left, there we go. And beautiful birds. They're very, very shy, and they've got the most amazing call. I actually had a very nice sighting of them 3 days ago. I was at a hide, and we sat there for hours just watching. We had elephants pass by, but the birds that came around were really quite beautiful. And there was a group of about 10 of these green woodhoopers that came about and were actually flicking through the old grass. Oh, that's beautiful, isn't it? You might have been able to have even heard the white-crested helmet shrike. So it seems as though there's a food party around here. And a food party is a whole lot of different birds. Should we show the white-crested helmet shrikes are just... Can you see them through there? There we go. Nicely done. There we are. Also beautiful birds. They've got striking colours, especially with those bright yellow skin around their eyes. Look at that. And tiny little dots. Someone's got a little insect by the looks of it. What are you eating? Looks like it's definitely got something there. Delicious. Maybe a butterfly? I couldn't quite see what it was, but also contrasting orange legs, and look how dark the nails are on their feet. Don't you think that's quite cool? I never noticed that. Well, I suppose when you do have orange legs, you can see any color just off of them. They're all flying around. See, moving together, all working as a team. You'll get the hoopers, which will dangle on the sides of trees like this and probe in the bark, which we've already discussed. And then you might get some hornbills and also some drongos sort of fluttering along the grass levels, flushing all the insects up, and then allowing for the different species to feed on the insects that are missed. Now, Linda, you've said they're all so beautiful. They are. I love watching birds. And another bird that I forgot to tell you that I got to see were Mayer's parrots. So we see the brown-headed parrots here. I got to see another one, the Mayer's parrots, but I'll show you a little bit later what they look like. They were quite beautiful as well. So I got to see lots and lots of new birds. I watched a heron at the hide, a grey heron, fish and catch a huge barbel. It was so great. It took about half an hour before it ate it. There was also a Goliath heron hanging around there, and of course the Egyptian geese were about to... Oh, and a squirrel. Hello, have you come to join the food party too? No. Yes. They're chasing the birds. Now, squirrels can be quite territorial too, so this doesn't surprise me too much. I'm probably going to get a bit annoyed. And I think if I was a squirrel, I'd probably want to change the green woodhoopers around and get them away, because they're very noisy birds. And in Xhosa, they're known as Hlegamafazi, which means babbling woman. And obviously, it just describes their laughter-like call. And if any of you know, and this rings true because I'm definitely a culprit, is that if I go out with, see, hey, hoopoe fighting back, you be careful. It's got a big sword on front there. You'll get stabbed, squirrel. Very cheeky. There we go. Listen. Just starting to hear those woodhoopers now calling, and it reminds me of me and my friends, you know, after I haven't seen them for a very long time, and then laughing and just shouting at one another, obviously all talking, but very loud and high-pitched, so it sounds very much the same. So just as those woodhoopers were probing around trying to find insects to eat, the squirrel's probably looking for spots where it's hidden, little treasures, marula nuts and all sorts of other delicious things. But we did have that amazing sighting where we were watching the squirrel eat. It looked like it was eating an alate, the winged termites. And it was quite interesting. So they will take insects occasionally, especially during these months where fruit isn't in abundance like it normally is. But very busy, and it obviously doesn't know that we can see it, because it most certainly would not tolerate us staring at it. Another one that doesn't like the camera, but a beautiful squirrel nonetheless. Very busy. I think you're all going to go to bed quite early tonight. It's now actually starting to get quite chilly, and I might have to add a couple of layers on too. Isn't it gorgeous? But I was saying that the babblers make quite a noise, and I'm not surprised that the squirrel actually actually chasing them around. But the squirrels make a huge racket too. Now, Steph84, you've said that the squirrels have just started calling. Is it the squirrels or the green woodhoopers that are calling? I'm not sure. Oh, the squirrels. The squirrels are calling in your garden too. That is, maybe they've sensed that we are watching a tree squirrel go about its day. What are you looking for? Look how agile they are as well. Definitely use that tail for balance. Tails are very important, especially when you need to climb trees. They help a huge amount, but I'm unfortunately not able to wrap around a tree if it was going to fall off. So it doesn't act as another appendage. It's just purely there to help them balance about. But really cool. What an interesting day. Not necessarily filled with cats for us, but we're just seeing a couple of smaller interesting things. And anybody that knows me well knows that I prefer the smaller critters in life. Even when I go on a safari and somebody says to me, what would you like to see? I always say, what birds do you have in this area? What special birds? Or, bat-eared foxes and caracal and serval, all those types of things. Jackal. I'm quite happy to sit and spend a bit of time with the smaller animals and the frogs in the rainy season. I'd want to see all the frogs. But our squirrel has now disappeared. That was quite nice. So let's see what else we've got down here. This seems like it's a good road. I've got a good feeling. So we'll continue, and hopefully our leopard tracks will pop out somewhere around here. Right. Maybe a couple more birds on your list. Remember though, if you have seen some new birds today, let us know. Hashtag Safari Live, what number you're on, or perhaps there's one that you've been dying to see. Let me know, and we can go and check specific areas that they like to hang around in and see if we can't add a few more to your list. Didn't have much luck in the Mulwati, sadly. But we're going to go across now to Ali. She's still with Thamba. She hasn't moved. Will he wake up? I don't know.
Well, he was certainly playing with her feelings a few moments ago, because he got his head up and then he started yawning and there was a bit of a leg stretch. And now, as you can see, that's all pretty much finished. And he's gone back down. So we are hoping that he's going to do that, but stay awake for a while longer in the next few minutes or so. But the fact that he's at least got his head up once and started yawning might be, the light at the end of the tunnel, that he will start perhaps becoming a bit more active. Ah, there's a leg moving. Stumpy, you're wondering if leopards have long tongues. Well, if you've ever seen the tongue of a domestic cat or a dog, I would say it's pretty much the same ratio. So it's proportional to the length of their jaw, but it's not particularly long. Not, for example, when compared to the tongue of something like an aardvark or an anteater or a pangolin. What they do have is a very rough tongue, so the tongue is almost like it's got a little papillae in there that are very rough, and they're positioned in a way that it almost acts like a comb. So when they start grooming themselves, they're able to actually get the little particles of dirt, of old pieces of meat or blood through the different papillae in their tongue, and that way they'll be able to clean themselves. So very rough tongue. If you've ever touched the one of a domestic cat, that's what the tongue of a leopard pretty much feels like. So very similar to that. And I think he did groom himself for half a second when he got his head up. I think maybe he had a bit of an itch close to his stomach, but it seems like he's gone back down and nothing to disturb him all throughout. It is funny how he's just pretty much gone down. And when we got here, I wonder if maybe we just got him at the end of his play session and when he had been moving around, because his head was still up when we first arrived here, and then it was pretty much game over. I'm onto the side, completely asleep. Bye-bye. But if there's anything that I've learned about leopards, it's that you've got to be very patient with them, and sometimes patience pays off. And I think for me it would just be amazing to see him, or to see his beautiful face above all the grass. And I'm sure everyone's also waiting for him to decide to grace us with a bit of a better look. And he seems to be quite the poser. Every time that I've seen those screenshots of of him. He always seems like, he loves posing on top of the termite mound with the sun in his face and the wind blowing behind him, and always a very beautiful setting. So, Thamba, in you we trust that you're going to wake up at some point and then you're going to show everyone your beautiful face. Not bad. Well, his stomach, if we look at it from here, it doesn't seem that empty. So I'm sure he's had something to eat in the last half a day or so. Look at that belly. Lisa, you were wondering if he had a kill somewhere close. Well, I think whatever it is that he had, it's finished. So he doesn't seem to have been starving, at least from this angle. If he gets up, maybe we'll have a bit of a different opinion. But he seems, at least, that he's had a recent meal. So I don't think he's got a kill around here. We saw him this morning and he didn't go back to any particular kill. And this afternoon he hasn't moved from here, and Tandi's not around here. So I think... and that's why when Taylor said that she had the tracks in the Molowati, there's a very good chance that Thandi is just busy hunting somewhere out there, and once she manages to bring something down, then she'll come and fetch it and then take him back to the kill. He's gotten to the point where he's a bit too big, and depending on what Thandi manages to bring down, I think it'll be easier for her to then come and get it than actually bring the kill over right here, which she wouldn't do even if they were tiny with a big male impala. Ah, wonderful. I think I'm quite happy to see him this full, and he doesn't seem to be too bad in a condition, and I'm sure Thandi, either today or tomorrow, she'll pop by and she'll come around. But I wonder if maybe he's going to go later on to the dam and have a bit of a drink. That would be pretty nice with the beautiful sun. But while we carry on waiting patiently for Thamba to just pretty much go like this and say hello to everyone, let's go to Taylor and see how her search for all of the wonderful creatures of Djuma is going.
Well, we're just driving at the moment. I don't think I'm going to have too much luck with leopards, to be honest, today, but that's fine. The leopards don't want to show themselves, then I don't want to see them. I'm not interested. What we have heard, though, on the radio is that it sounds like those lions that were on Torchwood are coming towards Chitwa cut line. Now, not really sure what's going on just yet, as they've lost them. They haven't been able to keep up with them. So hopefully if they do come this way, we'll get an opportunity to see them, and it does sound like it's the Nkuhumas as well, so that'll be quite nice. I haven't seen them for quite some time, and they're one of my favorite prides of lions, so let's keep our fingers crossed that hopefully once they've managed to relocate these lions again, they'll figure out a lineup and we will be considered at some point, seeing as though we've been very patiently just driving around looking at all the smaller things. So hopefully we'll be able to see them. I think let's go towards Buffelshoek Dam, have a quick look around there and see if anything's headed to the watering hole for a drink. Though in winter, it's such a, well, we say winter, the temperature really isn't that cold at all. I'm getting nippy, but I actually haven't put my jersey on just yet. I'm surviving. But with it being a little bit cooler during the days, it's actually quite hard to guess as to when animals are going to go down and drink water. In summer, it's usually first thing in the morning and then last hour around sunset. But I noticed, well, something that you do notice is when you go out on day safaris, you actually see quite a bit of game hanging around the watering holes during the middle of the day. And I definitely saw that at this hide that I was at. We noticed, we went around 2 o'clock, so much elephants coming past, impala, warthogs, all the baboons, everything coming down to have drinks during the middle of the day too. But we'll have a quick look. It might be a bit late, but maybe we get the odd elephant or so coming back this way. So we'll go here, we'll have a look, and then hopefully by that time the Nkuhumas are going to come this way. I just don't want to go driving right there now because it seems as though there's many vehicles, and we don't want to get ourselves into a situation where we find the lions and there's 6 cars surrounding them. Remember, we are only allowed to have 3 vehicles in a sighting. Also, it depends on a number of different things, how thick the vegetation is, how much pressure you're going to put on an animal, that type of thing. So we'll just take a back seat, and then yeah, well, hopefully we'll be able to find those cats. But even if we don't get them now, we know that they're on their way west, and they're quite far away, so maybe they'll stay on the property and they'll be around tomorrow morning to hopefully see them. Now, Alice, you're saying there's some bird requests. What are the bird requests? Let's see what magic I can create for us this afternoon. Okay, Heidi, you've requested that we try and find your favorite bird, the Bateleur. Okay, that's a good bird. I haven't actually seen any flying around today, but we'll keep an eye out. We might have to start looking in the tops of trees. They might be perched. Aaron, you've said a whistling duck. White-faced whistling duck. Those are beautiful birds. We'd have to head all the way down towards Vuyateledad. They seem to like it around there. I'm just listening to the radio very quickly. Go. It's quite difficult to just trying to figure out what's going on. There's so many vehicles driving around there. I do just want to quickly ask a question. See, they're not that. We're experts at off-roading and keeping up with the cats. The longer vehicles have a bit more trouble, so I'm just listening through, waiting for a gap here. No, we wait. See, if I miss my moment of jumping on the radio, and I just need to reconfirm that I'm on a standby once they've relocated these cats. Can anyone confirm that I can be on a standby for this Ngala sighting? Okay, we'll deal with this a little bit later. Let me turn the radio off. Right, let's go see if we can find Aaron's white-faced whistling ducks and Heidi's Bateleur eagle. They might be around here somewhere. Let's see. Ooh. Sorry, Alice, please can you say the last name again? I didn't hear it. Oh, Liz. There we go, Liz. You've said that you'd like to see some with LBJs. Okay, that'll be nice. Maybe what about some robins? They should be... Thanks, Alice. I got LBJs. That was very loud. So what we're going to do is, this is actually a very good area to find LBJs, little brown jobs. So all the small brown birds that we often overlook, and actually maybe not even overlook, we struggle to get them on camera because they're constantly bouncing about all the time. But this thicket area that we've got ourselves into, again right near a drainage system, would be a perfect spot. Also, the sun is starting to set, so the birds will be out giving their final calls before they settle in for the evening. So we'll start checking on tops of some of these small shrubs. So we'll have a look. Let's investigate. So we're just actually on Quarry Pan Road, so we're going to pop out on Inyala Road North. Here's an emerald spotted wood dove. What do you think our chances are if I creep forward? I'm going to go so slowly. Don't you fly away, bird. It's just here. I don't know if you can see it with your eyes. You should have a gap. Just right here in front of you. Have you got it? There we go. There we go. A little emerald spotted wood dove. It's quite nice. Doesn't look so glamorous now as the spots are not facing the sun, but you can just see them on the edge of the wind there. The wind on the wing. And off it goes. Very cool though. It's a lovely little bird. Franklin shouting about. Who have we got there? Fork-tailed drongo flying about. That's not an LBJ. Okay, maybe with some prinias, perhaps some cisticulars. Again, maybe robins, a few buntings. Might be lucky enough to see them. That was another emerald spotted wood dove that just flew off to the right. Oh no. Alice, we've gone back to I can't hear anything that you're saying now. The comms have gone again. Completely, I can't hear Alice anymore. Okay, what's the question, Seb? I'm just listening very carefully.
Mrs. Zero wants to know if you get black tie. Oh, black
Magpies.
magpies.
Okay, Mrs. Zero, you're wondering if we get magpies here in South Africa. We get magpie shrikes, so not the magpies that you see in Australia, which are the most amazing birds, just by the way. I know they can be a bit of a nuisance, but in terms of an intelligence level, they seem to be highly sophisticated. I really enjoyed watching them, and my nana has many magpies that come and visit her often. But yeah, so we just get the magpie shrikes. They're the black and white ones with the beautiful long tails. We could see some of them too. This is also another nice area. I can't hear what she's saying. What did she say, Sebastian? I didn't hear anything.
She stops looking every time she starts looking.
Alice, I've got absolutely no comms. Ah, there we go. Okay, we're going to try and sort this problem of communication out. I'm going to send you across to Ali while we do so.
Right, hopefully Taylor will manage to fight all the gremlins and the communications issue, but I have no doubt that Taylor will be able to sort it out. Thamba has not moved up, not even once in the time that we've been here, so I wonder if maybe he'll take after Tingana. Tingana can also be very patient before decided to move around, but what I do think happened, just after pretty much spending all of my afternoon in the company of this beautiful boy, it's been that we got him just as his play bout finished and just as he was starting to fall asleep. So for the last, let's see, around about almost 2 hours, I would say, he's just been having a very nice nap. Amazing how time flies by. Every now and again there'll be a stretch of a leg or... yes, we saw your face once more. So it is starting to get very cold. I have already started to put on my layers, so I'm hoping that the fact that I'm feeling a lot colder, that Thamba will start waking up from this beautiful slumber and maybe just move a little bit more. I think, oh, are you stretching now? Oh, that's a nice stretch. He's been playing with my feelings quite a bit. I keep thinking that he's going to wake up every time he stretches like that, and then it seems that he decides not to. I think now maybe he's gotten to the point where the grass is annoying him. Maybe the little inflorescence or the dead seeds on the top of the dead flowers of the grass are annoying him. Yes. Oh, look at that big stretch. Oh my. Isn't he precious? Looks like a nice full belly, I must say. Or, well, maybe not the fullest it can be, but it does seem that he's had a nice big meal. Oh, Thamba, you're being quite lazy this afternoon, aren't you? But how funny is that? Isn't that typical cat-like? And I think maybe the grass is annoying him, and that's why he's been stretching out like that and trying to find a better position, something that's a bit more comfortable for him. It is funny. I haven't seen too many leopards sleep the way Thamba is doing now. Normally they they don't sleep so placidly. This almost looks a little bit more like a lion pose. Rarely have I seen leopards sleeping with their belly up like that. Lions more often, but leopards, I don't know, not too many times. So I think maybe Thamba's feeling quite camouflaged amongst all the grass, and he feels like he can do that. Deborah, you say that belly needs tickling. It almost does, doesn't it? But I'm sure if we were to even sort of try and attempt to get close to him on foot, he would not be that sleepy, and likely he would run away. But in a parallel universe, I reckon it would be quite nice. He's almost sleeping like an older person. Megan, you're wondering how long can leopards sleep for? Well, they can sleep for pretty much most of the day. There's a lot of debate going on about how to define leopards, whereas if they sleep the whole day or if they sleep for a few hours and they woke up and they start being a bit more active. But in general terms, they sleep about 15 to maybe 18 hours in a day, depending on if they're looking for food or if they've got youngsters or if they're patrolling their territory and so on. So they won't sleep necessarily throughout the day like the lions do, when, for example, they will start sleeping around about 8 o'clock in the morning and only wake up 8 o'clock at night. Leopards are active a bit more in patches, and what I mean by that is, yes, it is believed that they are crepuscular creatures, that they move when the light conditions are lower, but I have seen them move in the middle of the day very often, and so have a lot of the other rangers around here. So it's, in general, due to experience, it's believed that they will be active for a few hours, and then they will sleep and have a nice nap for a few more hours, and then again for another few more hours. But they do sleep a lot as well compared to some of the other creatures. Those legs are so funny. They're giving you away, boy. It's probably why you shouldn't be sleeping like that. At one point to me, it just looked like wings. Leopard wings almost. So I don't think he could be happier right now. I think he has found the best possible way for him to sleep, with belly up, legs spread, and dominating the termite mound. He is quite funny, I'll give him that. My. So, you had us all fooled there, Thamba. We all thought that you were gonna get up and maybe start stretching a little bit more. But it's almost like when we start waking up, and I don't know if it happens to you guys, sometimes when you wake up and then you're just like, I'm almost there. So your brain is aware of everything that's around you and what's going on, but then your body just rolls onto the other side of the bed and it's just like, oh, this is too nice. I just 5 more minutes. So I think that's what he's experiencing now, and what he feels like at the moment. But make no mistake, he won't stay here the whole night. He's likely either going to move somewhere around into this area, or perhaps if Tandy comes back, then he might move a lot. I think it would be quite something if we were to start looking for him tomorrow morning and find him pretty much all the way over here. Especially sleeping in that unique fashion. Cat lover drawings, you're wondering if we see cheetah or leopards more often. Well, in this particular area we see a lot more leopards than cheetahs. Cheetahs are quite rare in general around this general vicinity, and part of the reason is because we have a high density of lion and leopard and hyenas. So cheetahs being out of in that area the less ferocious of the predators, or the weakest one, if I can even call them weak. They don't do too well in this often because of inter-predator competition, but as well it's quite thick around this area, and it's believed that cheetahs do a bit better in areas that are a bit more open. We used to see 2 male cheetahs, 2 cheetah brothers along this area, and they were spotted not too long ago. I think maybe yesterday or the day before, they were actually seen hunting in one of the big open areas in Buffelshoek, which is a reserve that's just north of us. So they are around and we see them every so often, but I don't think I've heard of one being spotted at Djuma for a while. Have you seen cheetahs at Djuma recently? So no cheetahs on this game reserve. It's a bit of a blessing and a curse, because we have so many leopards that we can spend time with, and lions as well. And that's probably one of the reasons why we don't get some cheetahs around here. They can be very easily pushed off their sightings. Sorry, I'm just listening to Alice, but nothing to be too worried about for now. I think Thamba is just almost, he seemed to have stretched again. Maybe he's sleeping with a bit more decorum. But for now, he seems to be enjoying life all throughout. Theon, you're saying that it seems like Thamba hit the snooze button many times. I think so too. I think he's sort of wanted to wake up a few times now, but every time there is a bit of encouragement to wake up, it's very soon snoozed away, and he's just like, no, I'm not ready just yet. So I wonder what he's going to be doing. I don't think I've ever seen a leopard sleep in this fashion before. This is quite unique to you, Thamba, now that I think about it. And I do think that he is very fast asleep. I mean, he seems to be so comfortable in that general position. And I had a hope earlier that as the shade of the tree was going to start making him feel a little bit cooler, that he was going to start moving around, but not quite. The next track, you're saying he's taking relaxing to the next level. I think so. One thing we should all learn from the leopards on how we can handle the weekend and what we should be doing for the rest of this Saturday and probably for the Sunday, although maybe he's a day too early. Seems like Taylor has managed to find some of the mystery creatures that we've been looking for in the last few days, so she's racing off in that direction and hopefully she'll be able to show you another boy.
Right, we've got the lions. They're just up in front. I think I can see some of the little ones. Now, we need to obviously try and get through here. So we're going to go the scenic way around and try and actually get in front of them. I think that's going to be the goal. So you'll just have to put up with me bundu bashing a little bit, driving through the bush. But they're moving fairly quickly. Now, I haven't seen any of the adults. It is just the youngsters. So I think the rest of the pride is already quite far ahead. We'll just duck and dive underneath here. Apologize if I don't look back at you. I just need to concentrate. Sorry, Sabi, you good there? Likely no thorn trees. They look quite excited. I can just see all these little ears perked up too. Very thick here. We can take a very quick glimpse of them. Now you see, of course, there we're going to lose them. There's a car, never mind. Right, let's try this again. They're going to go down into a drainage line, I think, and this is where we'll have the upper hand. Is that we've got a smaller vehicle. We're able to maneuver quite nimbly through a lot of this stuff. I'm just going to wait for them to pass, and then we're going to go after them. We're not going to stick on the roads. Okay, Sebastian, mind your head. Lift that one up for you. Good.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm going to sneak under here. Lift that over the camera. Right now, woohoo, Nkuhumas. You guys are going to take us on a mission, aren't you? And one very lucky Franklin running in the road too. They're going there, so I'm going to find a gap. We're going to go in here. We're not afraid of a little few trees, eh, Sebastian? We're in low range already. Let's go. Okay, that's a termite mound. I can't drive over that one. Now what I want to do is go here and try and get a little bit in front of them. I don't want to get stuck behind them. You have to trust me, I promise. There are actually lions here. Just go over that. We'll go over it like this. Don't worry, all of these trees are bouncing back up. A lot of them are just bush willows. And a lot of them are pushed over by the elephants too. I'm going over a broken one. Where did they go now? Oh, here they are. Oh, wonderful. Oh, there we go. We'll sit and watch these. So the rest of the pride is quite far ahead. Here's the little one. Hello. You're so big, you're not little anymore. Now, the exciting thing is like I said, their ears are very much pricked. They don't look too fat. I presume they are hungry. Hungry lions. And going down into these drainage systems, as we know at this time of the year, is the best thing to do, especially when you are looking for something to eat. But it is very thick in here for us. There's another little one that's just popped out on the other side of that little shrub. So we'll have to be quite patient. And I'm going to try and keep my distance from them because we are off-roading. We're making a bit of noise, as I'm sure you would have heard. So we don't want to disturb them too much or give away their chances of catching something. You're not in a hurry, are you? You're taking your time. Looks like one of the young boys. I can't believe how much they've grown. I'm just going to take a rest. This one coming at the back. Is it my favorite little girl? Much smaller than the others. Look at us. Now I believe that my little floppy-eared girl, who I said right from the get-go that I didn't think her ear was ever going to stay floppy. It was just sort of swollen. I believe she's got amber colored eyes, just like Amber Eyes does, so she's quite easy to tell. Yes, it is. I think it is my favorite little girl.
Yes.
Now, the reason why she's my favorite little lioness is because she's the feistiest little cat I've ever come across. She would take on those Birmingham boys like you have no idea, and she wasn't scared of swatting her siblings either, and being one of the youngest too. So I really enjoy her feisty personality. But there they are, just resting up now. I think what we can do is let's maybe try and move a bit forward. Let's get closer to where the adults are. They're quite far in front of us. So I just want to zip around here. They look like they are listening to something. Oh, that was a mistake. Just drove. Hang on, now I can't get my foot on the accelerator because of the thorns. Hang on, I'm pulling my earpiece out as well.